Juice. Come here.
Ahoy, hoy.
Ahoy.
Where are we finding you today?
I'm in Palm Springs at the Movie Colony Motel.
Where's Palm Springs exactly?
So if you go almost like directly east from Los Angeles, in the desert.
Oh, it's near the desert. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it is the desert. I'm
It
in
is
the
it
desert, but it's a big mountain over there.
feels like it should
Chilly.
be it's chilly. All right, I'm gonna look up Palm Springs and get an idea of where this is at. For some reason, I thought it was like, yeah, I thought Palm Springs sounds like a place that should be right next to the water, but it's not. Cool, awesome. How far from LA is that? Like just
Uh,
an hour time wise.
on a Wednesday before Thanksgiving, it was about 2.5 hours. I think it's
Okay,
usually maybe maybe a little bit less than 2 hours. You go on a you strategically plan your egress from the city.
nice. That's good. Okay, cool. It's close to Joshua Tree.
Hmm.
Yeah, okay. I need to
Yeah, for your
I'm
trip,
yeah.
I would say, definitely out this way. Um, Joshua Tree, right? Absolutely have to do
Yeah.
that. Um, and Salton Sea,
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
yeah, that Bombay Beach is really interesting. Hold on, let me go look at my dog. I'm just like wandering around the property. Hold on. Come here.
Yeah, I'm doing some thinking about what I want to do next year in terms of or next summer in terms of having a long time on the road. And
Right.
it seems and I want to do a lot of boondocking. I want to do
What's boondocking?
boondocking is the term used for like free camping. It's also called, what's it called? Called dispersed camping.
Okay.
So the idea is that you I know that on BLM you can, if you have a trailer or a camper, you can just roll onto BLM and find a spot and just park. You don't pay anything.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's boondocking. And it's just nice and cheap at the risk of paying, 20 or 30 or $40 a night at a state park every single night. Starts to add up over time.
Yeah.
But yeah, the idea is to do a bunch of boondocking, and the West Coast is a lot easier to do that than the East Coast. Apparently, the East Coast is really shitty for just finding good, cheap, or free places to camp out. So I think what I might end up doing is a cross Canada trip, hit Vancouver, visit some friends, and then come down Washington, and then basically do, maybe some like Highway 101 and hit some of the major cities, and then it looks like the desert, the mountain area is just east by an hour or so. So that's where I could go to like boondock for a couple of days and just keep moseying down,
Right.
make my way to California. And then I think from there, once I get down south, like I probably go to New Mexico, because I used to go there every year.
Hmm.
Go to Santa Fe every year. A buddy of mine lived there.
Uh,
And I feel like I'd probably want to go visit that again. And then figure out, I don't know where Route 66 is, and maybe diagonally make my way back up to Ontario.
yeah. Sounds like fun.
Yeah, I think it'd be a lot of fun. So I'm just slowly getting some renovations done on the trailer, and I'm hope to get a full solar setup in the next few months, and then I can be self-sustaining, and then I'll start reaching out to some clients because I've got clients in Las Vegas, so I'll probably reach out to them and be like, all right, I'm doing residencies now.
Yeah.
Like I come to you. You got a project, you want to time it? I'll just come to you and work out of your office for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. I'll be the guy in the parking lot in the evening.
Yeah. Walmart. Apparently Walmart and Cracker Barrel are cool with sleeping in their parking lots.
Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome. I like the vibe, and it's making me think of like um another in that in the conversations we've been having like way in the back channel about like the hyper collaborative and like what it looks like, and I got inspired by the idea, but I haven't really kind of hooked onto it enough to really dive deep into it. But doing a trying to describe what I'm feeling we're talking about in the hyper collaborative, as a kind of collective creative work unit of some description, but do it visually and in the same way that I kind of with my company Amada, I did like basically I did a visual representation of what the company looked like in the future, mostly visual. It was like the annual report that I did from the future, which was really helpful. I think, for me, just to be like, okay, so what am I talking about? Like expanding the product ranges, you can say that, but what does that actually look and feel like? What does the product range look like in the future? And so I really feel like when I did that, I learned a lot more about what I was trying to create. And then it's what hooked the people into buying the company. They're like, oh, I get it. Okay, cool. This looks great.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of went with it, like more on feel as opposed to, the financial projection, which was like extensive, as much a fiction, right?
Yeah.
But it was extensive, but it didn't have it. You couldn't feel anything from it. All you just saw were like, like did like 16 tabs on the fucking thing. It's just like nuts.
So
And so that's what I want to do for this. But so the reason I mention that is because there's something about what you're describing as like the residency or like, not the usual mode of idea exchange where it's like you go and you're I don't know. There's just something that feels like a little bit more futuristic, not in the kind of astronaut futuristic, but like a
mhm.
new mode of working that maybe resonates with people now, especially because all those things, quiet quitting, and people are really they're not happy with their job. I mean, I was just at a Thanksgiving thing with a bunch of Silicon Valley people, and they're just they're just kind of over it,
Yeah.
But but they're stuck. They can't get out. It's like, look, I got two kids in fucking school. It's like 30 grand a year.
Yeah.
Kind of ridiculous.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. It's interesting. I think there's some interesting ideas around, you talking about like quiet quitting. There's also quiet firing,
Yeah.
very loud firing also happening too.
That's right.
The the digital. Okay, so there's like a hashtag van life and the digital nomad that
Hmm.
are starting to turn into more. They became. I think they feel like they started as these aspirational. Only YouTube influencers can do this,
Hmm.
and then it's now turning into something that people are starting to consider as like, yeah, you can do things differently. Like you can work differently, you can live differently. Even buying this trailer, I was talking to my mom about it, and she was like, oh, so if everything went to shit and like you lost your house, let's say, like you'd still have this thing to live in. And I'm like, yeah, like I could
Hmm.
live out of this thing really, really cheap. She goes, yeah, that's a good idea.
Hmm.
So there's all kinds of like low footprint, low income ways of existing in really fun ways. And then in hyper collaboration, there's also this idea of like with a big network of people, there's people all over the East Coast, West Coast, so on and so forth. You could do an arrangement where there's like maybe there's a house swap. It's like
Yeah.
I'm willing to let my house, let one of you guys stay in my house for a week or two in
Yeah.
exchange for letting me stay in your house for a week or two. And we'll just
Yeah.
like cross pollinate groups. I'll just hang out with your friends. You hang out with my friends for a week. How about
Yeah.
that for hyper
Yeah.
collaboration?
um, but yeah, somehow I imagine like imagine the like trying to represent that. It is like it's a van of some description, or like a what are those crazy Mercedes
The Sprinter vans.
exploratorium? It's this thing is beyond it. I've been like kind of googling it. The it's the Mercedes Benz uh AROCS Nomadism Navigator. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I haven't
All
been
right,
just to be clear, I haven't been oogling it because I'm like, I'm thinking about getting one. It's more like that as the vehicle that I would use to kind of visualize this
how did you spell Aurochs?
ARO. Yeah, let me
A
see.
R O. Yeah, Arox. Got it.
AROCS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that thing. Okay, awesome. Okay, so like it's a lorry is basically what it is.
Yeah, quad axle, but then the interior, you of course you kit it out, so like a couple
Yeah.
workstations, the whole thing, right?
Well, didn't that
Uh,
guy do his end of the world vehicle? Is that an Aerox? Look at that. Oh, geez. Look at this thing. Okay, yeah, this is cool. Yeah, it's like you can kit it out. You can put anything on that.
yeah, but you just see that like that in like near future laboratory livery.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Even the two axle one is pretty sweet.
I don't know if I've seen the two axle one.
Yeah, it came up as a it's the Aerox 4x4. It's a German video, I think.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, the idea of like hyper dreaming.
hmm.
I like to go to like RV shows and boat shows when they come to town in the winter. They
Yeah,
take up the the exhibition center, and you just walk around and look at things that you could never afford. But you get to take these tours of these, like step inside of a yacht or a big boat or an awesome kitted out RV, and then you just do hard daydreaming, and with no real intention of ever buying these things. But I feel like that fuels a lot of interesting ideas, because you get design ideas, you get to reconsider how you might want to actually live your life if you were in a situation that you could afford or get your hands on one of these things.
yeah,
And I think that becomes constructive and generative in just everyday life stuff in
yeah.
general. I think people don't allow themselves to daydream hard like that.
No, imagine harder. That's okay. So a couple things we need to talk about. One is that. The other one is, Trina, what do you want to do? Oh, hold on a second. Let me go put him back in the room. What do you do? I'll be right back. Yeah, they don't allow themselves to imagine. Yeah, it's been a whole thread. Matter of fact, I was working on some what do we call it? Let me share my screen.
Like if you some people, I feel like some people might feel bad about imagining harder. Like they might feel bad about daydreaming. Oh yeah, nice. Daydreaming about
Think about
things
making
that
some
they can't attain, right? It's like,
yeah,
why bother? Why would one spend time daydreaming about something or imagining something that they could never attain when they never really consider the benefits of why that is. So I like this idea that, I don't know if you've seen that poster series that artist did, that was like work hard and be nice to people, or don't be an asshole. I don't know if you've seen these
I
posters.
didn't.
This artist did a series of posters that just said these big things, and they I see them in offices a lot these days. They're very trendy, but nice. Time to imagine harder.
And I couldn't believe it. It's like imagineharder.com wasn't registered, so I registered it.
Oh, that's actually awesome. That's really awesome.
Yeah,
So
so that's the whole thing.
I like that aesthetic. I like that you design your stuff sideways. It's kind of like Da Vinci writing backwards.
Yeah, it was so I just sent off to have a bunch of Moo postcards made. So I'm going to use these to send out like send out some copies of the design fiction book to like basically VIPs and people that I want to commission us to do
Yeah,
work
that's
with,
great.
work with.
Yeah, to hyper collaborate with.
Yeah, to hyper collaborate with. But I did this thing, yeah, this yesterday morning with something. It's called EY Sally. It's like Ernst and Young's like innovation
Yeah, this is with
lab in
Daniel,
Stockholm.
right?
Sorry.
This
Yes,
is
with
with
Daniel. Yes,
Daniel in
yes,
Stockholm.
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I signed up for it. I got on the beta, but I never got accepted.
That's weird that they had a waiting list for the virtual thing. Maybe it was for like a bandwidth thing, but it was yeah, it was good. It was fun. It's like it got. I feel like it's like the second or third chance that I've had to just kind of try out like a jazz musician trying a new lick. Try out
Yeah,
Imagine Harder uh thing and just see if it resonates with people. And it super resonates with people. People are
yeah.
like, yeah, like this is great. So that's what got me hopped up yesterday, where I was like, before we went off to the Thanksgiving thing, I just started, I was like, okay, let me get some enamel pins and stickers made and and see if this thing gets any legs.
No, that's great. Yeah, I like it. I think it's a good platform. I think this idea of Imagine Harder is, and I think you touched on it. It's think different on steroids,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
it's letting people giving people permission to imagine harder, and that there's
It's
nothing
okay.
wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's okay. Like, don't worry about not imagining something that isn't possible or that isn't attainable. That's not the point. It's not about imagining to attain something. It's about imagining to fuel fuel other things.
that's right. And I think to that point that that we maybe, I mean, it's a total hypothesis, but that at some point, some of us, maybe not, kind of weirdos like you and me, like around 8 or 9, we're told like, all right, you know what, just put the crayons away, enough of that. Like it's time to get on track. Like
Mm-hmm.
figure out, what do you want to be when you grow up? This is the most obscene question you can ask a kid.
Yeah.
Like when the uncle asked that, because it's like you can't say like I just want to be a dreamer. I want to be like because then it's like, oh fuck man, what are we gonna do with this kid? Like you can't. It's like I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be like a banker. I want to be like a, engineer even. Like, but I think there's a constraint put on that whatever that kind of that capability is of our brain to like imagine possibility. Like we're told like, yeah, stop doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Like just focus on the pragmatic, the practical. Like you kind of, and so we don't know how to imagine. In the same way, maybe drawing is maybe a better, and this is something that Dave Gray talked about in the podcast, like that drawing at some point we're embarrassed to draw. So it's like we're embarrassed with this ability with our perceived inability to translate an idea in our head into visual form, right? And we're almost like, at least well, no, I wasn't really, but like we're sluiced into like using uh prose and language as a way to express your ideas,
Mm-hmm.
like use your words, that kind of thing, and less the kind of more that kind of feeling abstraction side of things. Special if you're able to do that, so like you become like an amazing artist, I guess, or you can draw really well, like you stick with it, or you become like a great representation person who can represent ideas visually, filmmaker, photographer, whatever it might be. But that's seen as like extra special, like unique ability, where I think it's just that it's I don't know. It feels like it's, is it all, does it sound weird to say like we're kind of all born with that capability? I mean, like this is generalization, but
Mm-hmm.
anyway, I'm not sure what I'm saying other than I think that the point that you're making about like, about it's hard to imagine is something, it's not, I'm not sure what I'm saying. It's similar. I think it feels similar to it's hard to draw. I mean,
Yeah.
it's only hard to draw because you're not trying hard enough or something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, the thing with imagining, so to me, imagining is like drawing, right? It's
Mm,
like drawing, it's like writing, it's like speaking, it's like it's a way of synthesizing something. Like even the most articulate person is limited by their vocabulary, by how, vast and abstract the contents of our heads are.
yeah,
Like our thoughts are so, like the fact that we have a single language, a complete single language is nowhere near enough to express the complex shit that goes on inside of our heads. That we need stuff like drawing, and we need filmmaking, we need music making, we need all this other stuff to try to fill in some of those gaps. But even with all of that combined, it's nowhere near enough to express what's going on in our crazy complicated brains.
yeah, yeah,
And I think imagining is another tool. Imagining is another tool, and then you can link that with drawing, you can link that with speaking, you can link that with filmmaking and music, to help express. But it's a way of trying to, it's almost like in a way organizing or molding, not like putting ideas in boxes, but like taking abstract things and giving it shape by molding it like a piece of Play-Doh in your head so that you've got a bit of a better idea of what's going on.
mm,
That could be a
hmm,
piece of art, or it could be, a well formulated argument.
yeah, yeah. I think we could. I feel like we can build like this imagine harder, like all the stuff that we're talking about into part of this. Uh, it's like an associated trajectory. I don't know if it turns out to be like a workshop series or a something along those lines. That I feel like when I have that kind of conversation with people, it resonates. Like they want to dig into
Yeah.
it more. They want to like, okay, so I feel like it can be expanded out um, into a whole series of product lines.
Well, no, I don't, dude,
Coffee
don't.
mugs,
Yeah, you can never,
tote bags.
dude. I'm all about doing that shit,
I
man.
know you are. I know you are.
I
That's
love
why
the
I
idea of
noticed
like
it.
expansive line. It'll be coffee mugs, t-shirts, it'll be like hotel chains,
Yeah,
and like you
exactly.
name it.
Totally. Totally.
It'll
Totally.
be like a line of veggie
Totally.
sausages.
Yeah.
Like we can find we can find all kinds of ways to like turn this into something.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's right. Total fashion line, like the whole thing. The whole
Do you want an
thing.
impossible burger? Fuck that. I want an imagine harder
It's a harder
sausage.
burger. Yeah, that's right. Imagine harder sausage. Fuck your burger. Is that the Imagine Harder brioche? Yeah, okay, perfect. I'll have that too. Oh man. So anyway, that's something that's kind of definitely
So,
percolating.
all right. So a couple thoughts around the idea of imagine harder. Uh, I think that, yeah, there's a whole bunch of different, like, at the risk of sounding schlocky, and but there's like tools. There's just like simple ways for people to, like, I'm a big fan of apps. I like randomness. Randomness is one of the things that I love to do for I don't know if did I ever show you random direction? Did I ever show you that dice that I
No.
so I got this, hang on, I don't know if the camera will focus on it. So I've got this dice. Hang on a second. Boom. It just basically, it's like, it just says left, right, west, east. It's north, south, east, west, left, and right. That's what the 6 sides of the dice are.
Yeah.
And the idea is that you just keep this in your
Nice.
pocket when you're going for a walk, and you just roll it, and you're like,
Mhm.
okay, west, and you just go west. And the idea is you
Yeah.
just follow the dice, and that's how you can make a walk like
Love it.
interesting.
Yeah,
So I
very
go,
situationist
yeah.
kind of vibe.
So I do
Yeah.
that, and I do another thing. I created another dice thing called Blocktive, So
Uh-huh.
there are 12 notes in a scale. So I just got a dodecahedron dice and I mapped every note to the scale. And the idea is that with Blockdiv, you just, if you're stuck writing songwriting, you just roll the dice and let it tell you
Yeah.
the next chord, and you do that, and you end up with like unconventional progressions. And so that led to another thing called writer blocks, and writer blocks are other dice that would, like, it'll let you do major, minor, diminished, augmented, and then I added an extra one called demolished, a demolished chord, which is basically like just like something random and bizarre, don't think about it.
Yeah.
And that's it. You combine the two, and you play around doing that. I often, for fun, will pick up a guitar and turn closed captioning on the television and sing to whatever's scrolling in front of my face. And you know what's funny is that when I do that, if you do it with like the intention that you're trying to like make something out of it, you start to see patterns. You start to realize like, oh, these
Right.
dramatic shows offer better writing, right?
Yeah.
And the unconventional rhyming schemes that occur and rhythmic patterns that occur, it's like, oh, I just want to record myself singing this. Like, this is the beginning of a song. I just wrote the beginning, like, scratch of
Yeah.
a song based on a sitcom that I happen to be stream of consciousness singing, trying to catch up to the So I think when I think of that, and going back to imagining harder, there's these random tools and ideas and tricks that you can do to just unstuck yourself,
Yeah. Yeah.
and make you think differently, or think harder about something.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so t-shirts, mugs, sausages, and
Yeah.
12-sided die.
So it's interesting because the friend who basically the friend that we're visiting here, I'll hang out with her later, but we hung out yesterday, and I didn't mention this to her just because it wasn't the right context, but years ago we worked on a project together. This is back when we were both at Nokia, called Drift Deck, and it was, situationist inspired deck of cards. And I stumbled across the original art, but so we had them printed. They were kind of like large. It was a little bit of an experiment, but the cards were these prompt cards, and it was derived, just kind of wacky stuff, like when you come across like like a sleeping dog, make the next left. See a woman with red shoes, make the next right, like that kind of thing. So very
Mm.
much in this vibe, and it was I guess it was practical to a certain point, but it was also meant to just be an experiment in, okay, what's what would be the modern take of the situation thing. And then we also, or the derive, like the drift, right? So it was the idea of the drift, and we had started working on an app version of it, but it just kind of stalled from, like, like lack of uh lots of intention, but just lack of I guess earnest commitment to actually doing an app. Um, but yeah, so I totally get that stuff. I love the idea,
Mhm.
and um, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm with you. Like all the things, the sausages. But it reminds me, like, we definitely need to talk about the weird bodega
oh, the
style.
bodega dumpsters, the
Yeah,
dumpster cards. Yeah,
yeah.
that's
I
funny when
woke up
you.
this morning thinking,
Yeah.
like, what I gotta find the machine that does the wrapping, like to
Uh,
wrap things in like little packages. You know what I mean?
oh,
Like
yeah, 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 totally.
the baseball card style thing, whatever those machines
so
are. It's like I
so
gotta get
I
one.
so I did some preliminary research last night, and I found services that will do. They cater to board game makers, and the idea is like, do you want to create a power up deck for your thing? There's a term for these power up decks, which is basically foil packaged deck of cards from 5 to 15.
Yeah,
So yeah, there's a service out there that just does that.
look at
Um,
this thing. I
there,
just I just googled it. It's like choicesportscards.com/packaging. Like,
yeah.
market your
So
product better with a practice. Yeah, totally. We got to do this, Dre. We
yeah,
got
so
to do it.
so the thing kind of exists. So there's a few things that came to mind. So when you sent that sticker sheet thing,
That
whatever
was
that.
that was actually that was a picture on the side of a bodega.
Okay, so what
Yeah,
I was like, oh, that's cool. So I like Super Mario.
but they all look die cut. I mean, this was
Yeah,
literally something on a shitty kind of
yeah.
you know the store that kind of store I'm talking about. I just saw it and I was like, that's fucking beautiful.
Yeah, no, it looks awesome. And I think the idea of putting that thick white outline around it and
Totally.
having a sheet of stickers, and you can use the stickers for stuff. So my initial I just got inspired by that, but then I went down this other trajectory, which was like this idea of a deck of cards, because I think of like, okay, design fiction cards. I've created a bunch of different types of cards that are similar to to the deck of cards that you made once upon a time, or like the Thing from the Future, like similar-ish in that realm. And then these ones, I got to thinking differently about this idea of like, rather than buying a deck of 50 cards that have a whole bunch of different prompts and so on, what if you issued the deck in packs of 5 or in packs of 10? And they were always random, and you had to buy, you'd open up the foil and I've got
Yeah.
these cards, and then, okay, well, I want to complete the deck, so I got to go buy another foil pack and open that up, and it's like, well, now I've got duplicates.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to find somebody else online. Hey, near future person,
And
do
you
you have
start the whole trading and swapping economy
yeah,
starts kicking in. Yeah, I love
I'll
it.
trade you a thing for a thing. But then you can do things. It's like, well, there's only so many, hard sausages. Those are rare. You can't find those ones, as easily. So now you could create rarity in this idea. And then when looking at the Garbage Pail Kids, because I remember loving these cards when I was a kid, and there was the sticker that you could peel it off. This takes it to a bit of a different level, but I think the cards that's a great starting point. But the sticker that peels off of the card is really cool, because you can stick it on things, which is super fun. You kind of destroy the card when you take the sticker off.
Yeah.
Which got me think of like, oh, you burn the card to mint the NFT instead of the other way around, minting the NFT to. Anyways, it's like a thing.
I love it, but and it's interesting because the thing, when my brother and I collected wacky packages back in the day, it would be there was there was this weird kind of like retentive vibe about not sticking it on something, like
Yeah.
because you want to keep you're like being more of a pristine collector as opposed to, and so you would like, ah, man, should I do it? And then you would hope to get a double of the, the it was like not Snickers bar, but it was like Schlocker's bar or whatever, something stupid like that. So that you could then be like, oh, I got an extra one. Like maybe I can stick this on my school notebook.
Yeah.
Or in my locker, that kind of thing.
Oh my God, the gold Wind Hex wacky package card is $1,700.
Jeez Louise.
Okay,
Yeah,
so I don't. I'm only discovering wacky packages right now. That was not a thing that I was familiar with as a kid.
Yeah, it's so brilliant. It's like in the line. I mean, I was into Mad Magazine, Cracked,
Yeah,
wacky packages, like all these, which explains a lot. But I have these two. I don't have any of them. I mean, they're long gone. But I've got two of these books. They're these little hardback books. I think there may be 3 or 4 of them. That is essentially like the compendium and reference guide to all the wacky packages back in the day.
That's so great. Yeah, I love it. Okay, I love that. I think design fiction bundled up like wacky packages, and you could be cards, or you could even just do sticker paper. Here's a sticker paper with a bunch of different stickers that you can play around with.
I mean, I like there's something evocative about it being the the die cut card sticker. I guess I don't know what are. I'm trying to remember. Like, are they? What when you the composition you put through last night is what was that in your imagination?
What
like materially?
Materially, it's like a thick stock cardboard card, and on the back, I would imagine there being like a nice bigger explanation of what that thing is that we're looking at.
On the back, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So like a little bit more explanation. And then the sticker would be printed and die cut, and then obviously placed onto the card after the card is printed, so that when you peel the sticker, the front of the card is also printed, so there's a QR code, so it used that unique printing technique that Patrick mentioned. Excuse me. And Yeah, so it's like some kind of like a nice type of sticker that you could peel off, which effectively destroys the uniqueness or the specific of the card. So the sticker could be, it could be a uh, it could be a high adhesive sticker, so that it's the type of thing someone might put on their guitar case or their computer laptop. It could be a low adhesive sticker that's designed to, like, you can peel it off, or it could be one of those like electrostatic cling
Mm-hmm.
stickers,
Mm-hmm.
like you stick it on your window or your car or something like that, and you can peel it off and non-destructively and put it somewhere else. But yeah, so those are the materials that I was imagining, and then I thought of the foil wrap being some kind of like iridescent foil with something printed on the front to make it, to give
Yeah.
it that vibe of what it is. But yeah, the other idea was just like, I still like the idea of like the dumpster diver, the Futures dumpster diver. And I thought it'll be interesting to take the cards, focus them down to the bodega, and the story is like, these are things that you picked up out of the bodega, you quickly grabbed out of the bodega's bin out back,
Yeah.
and it becomes stuff that you would typically find in a bodega or a bodega from the future, knowing that by narrowing it down like that, you can create another set of cards down the line that focuses on something that's something else. It becomes the automotive junkyard kit,
Right.
so
Right.
you
So
can you can go and
yeah. The
pick
interesting thing is, like, you reminded me of the corner convenience project that we did ages ago. Which what you know, which because the corner convenience slash bodega is such a rich kind of
it's an everyday thing everyone can relate to, right?
yeah, and you can relate to like the all the everyday sometimes like we because everything's going to be in there,
Yeah.
like everything from
Milk to
like
paracord.
yeah, that's right, and kids toys and like hydrogen briquettes and
Yeah.
like everything's going to be in there.
Yeah. Food to feed cats, poison to kill animals. Like there's the both
Yeah,
ends of all the
yeah,
spectrum.
yeah, slingshot to kill the
Kill the
squirrel.
birds. Yeah. Warfarin to kill the mice.
Yeah. So, and then then I kind of spun out a little bit to try to imagine, and this is because like I'm also seeing messages from Patrick, so I got I'm having to kind of tweak a bunch of stuff, and the production art stuff is I'm trying to imagine. There are a couple things. So one thing is like it's really, as you know, it's really hard to kind of give over the production work to someone else. This is my control freak in me, and it's
Yeah.
not so much. It's mostly because it's like I've got a very specific idea of what works, and then you give it to someone else, and kind of like that's not it. That's not what I imagine. That's not how and so doing the art, I think, is part of it where I just hold on to that. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's good or bad. And at the same time, as I'm doing these things to try to tweak to get the art to kind of fall into the bleed, I'm thinking like, man, like not in an assholey way, but I'm like, I shouldn't be doing this. And it's
Mhm.
not because like I can't or I don't understand bleed. It's because I'm like, I've got this other thing that I really need to work on. I'm supposed to be doing I'm working on a reader's guide to the manual of design fiction, just like another little book to go alongside of the manual of design fiction. It's like that's where I should be spending my time. I shouldn't be
Yeah.
spending my time like tweaking it. So as I'm thinking about that, I'm thinking about this project because I'm like, man, I fucking could see this thing.
Mhm.
And there's something I wonder with this particular thing, uh, partly because I had locked in my head that picture that I took that I sent through and that you built on. You're like, man, this is fucking. It just kicked you off in a direction. It's like it's fucking amazing. Is there anything about the particular visual style that you can possibly imagine where it can be like, here's the style guide, and then the production artist who's like, man, this is just like off the hook. I could never make this shit up
Yeah.
for whatever our Clorox ends up being for the future, or whatever our whatever bathroom tile grout cleaner thing ends up being in the future. I could never. But if you can give me that, whatever that is, if you can give me the script, I'll do it to this particular in this particular mode in this particular visual
Yeah.
style. And that's what I want. I would love to get to the point where it's like you and I just kind of grind through these things. Like I got another one. Here's another one. Here's another one.
Yeah.
And the here that we're delivering is maybe a sketch. It should be like like a 1 gallon jug of this sort, And I think the principal colors are this blue, and
Yeah.
and here's what the copy says. Here's
So
here's here's what should be on the label somewhere. Figure it out.
yeah, so to me, there's a few things and I agree with you. I think it's like, yeah, move on to the next thing where you can do higher order thinking, spend your time there, because
Mm-hmm.
the nuts and bolts will just suck up all your time.
Yeah.
And so I see three different people involved in doing that. There's a designer that can actually make the visuals look the way we want them to based on some direction, which is us giving direction. It's us putting together some kind of a design brief, a Pinterest board, making some early decisions. We decide the color palette, we decide the style, we decide the
Mm-hmm.
fonts being used, and we mock up maybe one or two ourselves first, right? These are
Yeah.
our early mock-ups, and it's like, this is it. Now here's a list of everything else that needs to get done. You just follow this style guide. So that would be a way that I would go about doing that. Like what I designed yesterday was literally, my philosophy is do as much as you can in as little time as possible when I'm doing these types of, like, oh, I get inspired by something, just get it to looking good enough. But my Pinterest board that I started was like, I was looking at all the various like retro Topps trading cards.
Yeah.
Basketball trading cards. It's just awesome. They just have that 70s look to them. And it was like, yeah, I want to, but that's 3 hours of me and Illustrator just trying to design something.
Yeah.
And it was like, I want to be done in just over an hour from now, with something to show. So it was like, don't design, just copy paste things. So I copy pasted a piece of design fiction I did for another project into there, and just literally copied Garbage Pail Kids. so I didn't have to think about the design. I just used someone else's design. So yeah, I wouldn't, for an early prototype, I think it does a good job to spark the imagination. But yeah, I think doing something like putting together a Miro board with a few really well selected, like you do the bigger collection of references, and you narrow it down and synthesize it to, like, this is what these references mean. Here's a layout, here's a style, here's some fonts that we've chosen. Then you can find a designer, and this could be something as simple as Fiverr, somebody who's got design skills, and say, hey, listen, here's some references. All you have to do is just kind of keep going down this road, have them do that. The second person I would involve would be an actual studio artist. That would be the last person involved, is the studio artist. Studio artists.
And what are they?
A studio artist is somebody who just knows InDesign, basically. Okay. Like somebody who knows InDesign, who understands the nuances of bleed and color separation and stuff like that. But they're not designers. They don't know how to lay stuff out. That's not their expertise. Their expertise is putting things in the right box and making sure that the resolution is stuff. All the stuff we're doing on Motional right now is basically a studio person. They're cheaper. So the designer,
so aside from what we're doing, what I'm like literally doing like right now, for Patrick, they do that. In other words, they're like, okay, just give me all the shit and I'll just sort this out. I see what you're trying to do. Totally got it. I'm going to leave you alone now.
Yeah. The designer gave me his files. They're good. I'll fix this. I'll do this. And so that's a studio person. And that's a pretty good, here you go. Here's all the files, put it together. They build the book. They're in contact with the print place. They know the specifics. And the person that I would put at the head of the chain would be the writer.
Yeah.
And that would be either us writing everything, and we can do it in a bit more of a methodical type of way. So like spreadsheets always a really good way to do it, where it's like, here's a product. The visual is, looks like a bottle of Javex. It's called this. This is the tagline for the thing, and it's going to have this type of information, copy blocks in it. And that could come with a quick scamp, like a quick pencil sketch. A couple of visual references.
So that's the question. It's like when you have something that's very visual, does a spreadsheet conform well? I'm thinking like overly practically, like thinking like sorry, go on.
Yeah, I would say it does. So a spreadsheet, it seems very container like,
mm-hmm.
but what you can do is you can just basically say column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, and then when you're doing your scamp, you can just draw a 1, a 2, a 3, and 4 at the different areas, and they know what those columns, they can associate it to the different columns, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
And that's what it is. It's like the copy, and then if copy is all in one place, so similar to like doing a copy deck when you're building a website, you just have all the copy in one place. One person is in charge of it. One place to put comments. And depending on the type of layout that you're doing, the studio artist might actually just use a data merge feature to just bring the copy in automatically,
Yeah.
rather than copy paste everything, so that changes made in the deck are reflected in the layout. That becomes more complex, but I think a best practice is to keep all the copy in one place. That way the designer and the studio artist can work together and be like, hey, I need you to shorten this, or there's room for another blurb if you want to, like that type of thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still work on our part, but a lot of it is just
Yeah.
setting that expectation, what we're looking for visually, maybe making the first list of products, and depending on the writer that we're working with, like somebody can just come up with more
Yeah. I think. I
products.
mean, yeah.
That could
I
be
want. I want to. I want to set. I
crowdsourced.
want to set up the writers' room. Start.
Mhm. Yeah,
Is
there's
there what's? Sorry, go on.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna just. I'm in the writers' room now. I'm like trying to figure out like what is like a from your experience, and I guess just now, we've been working together for a while. Like, what is a way that we could get into it that ensures success? I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
where it's like, does it start out like, because you started mentioning, which was really helpful. Like, maybe it's like, it's just like I can't remember what you said exactly, but maybe it's like a couple a month, or just like start out with the first drop. Is it something that doesn't feel like, okay, we got to do 150 of these,
Mm-hmm.
straight away? Like, what are ways to ease into it where we can, uh, I guess, think about what a workflow looks like, and like a real, like a nice efficient workflow where we can start testing the rest of the tool chain, to where it's like, okay, here's one guy we can maybe try as the production artist, and here's another outfit we can try who can do the packaging.
Yeah.
Let's look. This is great. We can do. They have a starter deal on a box of 144. Like, perfect. Let's just do a box of 144 in beautiful kind of like hologram wrapped
Yeah.
little things. Let's start a show. So it's like those. What are those box cracker guys? Have you ever seen those
The
box breakers? Box breakers.
box breakers. I don't know what that is.
That's the people who this whole weird economy of trading cards, but they make a box of them that people collect. It's so artificial. It's weird, but Topps is involved.
So it's like the full box full of
They'll get the full
buckets.
full box, yeah,
Yeah.
and they'll be like, and they have the people bid in to participate in the break, and they'll
Yeah.
do it on video. They'll have like four cameras with like like someone from Arthur Anderson to verify that it's all on the up and up.
Yeah.
And they just run down the spreadsheet. It's like, okay, first on the list is Dre LeBray. Okay, this is what you get, and they pull it out and they show you the thing. Okay, when will you be back? Okay, can you leave me the key? Yeah. Chewy, come here. Chewy, come here, dog. You're not getting a massage. Come here. Poor dog, confused, just sitting there looking. Um, yeah, I think it's called Box Breaker, something like
Yeah,
that.
I'm looking at it now.
They're insane. It's yeah, it's worth watching, just for the weird kind of ritual of it. Um, oh, damn it, hold on.
Yeah, yeah, do your thing. Go get Mr. Dog.
Yeah, Chewy, come. Chewy. Hi. It's just going. Chewy, come here. Come here, dog.
loves people.
He just loves people.
That's awesome, man.
It is. Come here, dog. Come here. Come here. Good puppy.
Have a good day.
Okay, you too. All right. Hi. Yeah. There he goes again. I'm not the. What's he doing? Sorry, I'll be right back. Now I can't see him, and he's like over by the pool.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
I lost my line of thought.
I hang on a second. Studio with print.
Do we pick like set up a time, do a writer's room, pick like 4 or 5 things, like keep it quite contained and simple.
Mm-hmm. So I got a thought. I think so. When you were doing that, I just wrote down an entire thing of like a way that we could potentially do this. So if we just said, hey, bodega is going to be the thing that we're focusing on, right? So we could do a writer's room. We could do a kickoff similar to what Kemp did with Chorco. I like this. I like the structured thinking process in terms of getting people. I feel like groups of people get comfortable when they can just focus on something for a little bit. So what I would do is I'd say anybody who wants to join in on doing this, we give a week's head start. Anybody who wants to join in, raise your hand, and you'll be assigned a mission. And what we would do is the mission is this: in the week before the thing, you have to go to a bodega or a dollar store or something like that, and we're going to give you some kind of like a situation prompt, like you're hungry, like you're going in the bodega and that's you're hungry, that's all it is. And somebody else would be like, something's broken at home. You're going to the bodega, something's broken, that's what's on your mind. So go and explore the bodega, and then that's it. It's just like, come up with insights. What and there could be things that are tangential, like your car broke down. I don't know, something. Come up with a list of things, and everyone just gets a different angle to go in, a different mindset to go into the bodega. Go in, check things out, take some pictures, and maybe write a couple things down. Just and come prepared, basically. And then we have a mood board or a Miro board. And then when we go into the Miro board, we can complement it with a mood board of bodegas and aisles and different things. And then we can do like what Kemp did. We could have like a square, and it's like, all right, like, let's pretend we're hungry. Like, what are we thinking about when we're hungry? Well, some people are going to say, okay, well, there's the snacks, and it's like, there's the canned food. And some people are like, oh, well, there's spatulas, and there's like all kinds of kitchenware. I could just buy some kitchenware and take that home and make something with it. You can start to see where it breaks, where it's not necessarily about that. Somebody might say like, okay, well, there's a lot of pet food. I'm just going to eat pet food. And then you move on to the next and the next and the next. So you'll always have one person who's maybe thought about it more than everyone else, but everyone else is collaborating. So that might be a way of doing it. I don't know if that complicates things, but I like the idea of like, at the very least, like go visit a bodega or a dollar store before you show up to the meeting. Put some stuff in your brain, show up, and let's have a chat.
Yeah.
Guide them through a mission, kind of like what Kemp did, right? It's like, what do you imagine wearing? What do you imagine
I see what you're
driving?
saying. Okay, I see what
mean?
you're saying. Yeah. So the way what Kim did in the workshop, but the additional bit is like, before you come to this, like
just go,
just kind of luxuriate in a
yeah.
shitty 99-cent store or
Yeah.
corner convenience store or whatever. Yeah.
And we
so
could do
that your brain is kind of like soaked into the vibe of the.
yeah. But we could also do something like we could do some situationist stuff. We could have a little like, take this piece of paper, take these instructions with you, and it could be something like talk to the guy behind the counter, ask him what the most expensive thing is.
Yeah.
Store. Find the cat. Like, find the cat and find out the cat's name. Or ask the guy behind the counter if there's anything that's not on the shelf that's for sale.
Yeah.
Like, just see what kind of weird, funny things can you get from just the conversation with the guy.
Yeah, I love it.
Find the oldest product.
Okay, yeah.
Dust check the cans. Check the expiry on the cans. Just see some weird situation stuff.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, so there's some kind of a homework with a mission, and then you report back at the writer's room, and this is the actual writer's room. I imagine that maybe it's a Miro session, a Zoom and Miro thing.
Yeah.
And we guide people through block by block, similar to what Kemp did in terms of like establishing situations. We just kind of craft something that feels like it'll be generative and it'll cover, because a lot of people think, you go to a bodega. What are you going to a bodega for, right? You're going to buy some booze, you're going to buy some smokes, and you can buy some potato chips. Like, what else is there?
Yeah.
I don't think much beyond that until shit hits the fan. I never think to like go buy a light bulb at the bodega, right?
No, that's right.
But it's a place that you can do it. And then, how much does it cost there versus elsewhere? I have to turn my heating pad back on. There we go. Heating pad. And then, I think we work together to just generate a bunch of ideas. And I think the writer's room is not about, that's the end of the generating of the ideas. I think it's the start of the idea, like, sprint, if you will. So everybody now everyone's got direction. Everybody knows what kind of ideas we're thinking about in the world that we're living in. And then we offer everyone maybe there's a spreadsheet, and we say, hey, this is how you submit your ideas. There's a name, a description, and a whatever. What's a nice, succinct, simple way to express something? And that list just fills out. It's a big spreadsheet that fills out. And then the creative directors and the showrunners triage the ideas.
Yeah.
We basically just go through and we say, oh, these two are kind of similar. Let's put these two people together, or let's put these two ideas together. Or we just say yes, no to these things, right? I would, when I would creative direct, I'd have three answers. It was yes, no, and keep going. And keep going was like, that's the potential. There's some potential here. You're not quite there. Give them a bit of direction. Get it to a yes. If it was a no, it was a no. We could do something like that. Here's a yes, no, keep going. And then everybody can go back into the sheet, grab their own ideas, do what needs to get done. And then we can parcel out the assignments. Do we have writers? Because that would be like the end of the creative part. And then from there, it's like, we need somebody to write, then design, then lay out the stuff. So the writers would be the closest. I think the writers feel like that would be near future. That would be like community. That would be the group doing that. And then design, layout. That's that could be as simple as Fiverr. could be as simple as Fiverr. It could be maybe someone in the group that is a designer who's keen on doing that
Actually doing
work.
yeah.
But I'm partial to just like paying someone.
Yeah, when it comes to the stuff that isn't, because it feels like that those are the points where it could be like, oh, we got a bunch of great ideas, but now actually, okay, here comes structure. Now you got to actually do some. You got to do a little bit of jujitsu with the Adobe.
Yeah, a little jujitsu with the sensei.
Yeah, funny. One of the people, she was very entertaining last night. Works at Adobe, and she's part of the team that manages. She was like very politely communicating with people and organizations that are using pirated Adobe products. I guess she said Photoshop is the second most pirated software in the world. The biggest is the Windows operating system.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, if it wasn't for Photoshop piracy, I wouldn't be using Photoshop today.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be paying.
Just saying, like it brought back these memories of like literally like way back in the day, which is like yeah, like so we just kind of like look, so whatever technique they use, like survey, um, just like tweaked binaries. I was like, oh yeah, we used to fucking tweak the binary. Like you go in with like hex edit and go to like address 0x473/12 and change this byte to this, and then you're good to go. I was like, man, it just had me swooning and like every like remembering. Oh yeah, that was the whole thing.
I have to tweak the binaries. I tweak on regedit on Windows. I have to tweak it.
Regedit.
Yeah, to do natural scrolling. It's like I want my scroll wheel to work differently, so I have to like turn a 1 into a 0, and all of a sudden everything works. Everything is good in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, there's and there's, I think when we hire someone, in terms of like the opportunity changes a bit, because now we can do stuff like, there might be somebody who does a really good style of, cartoon style illustration based on photographs, right? Like that type of,
mm-hmm.
and then now we have like these very unique looking designs. I'm just looking at graphic designer on Fiverr, but I'm not seeing anything awesome just yet. But whether it's Fiverr or Upwork or something along those lines, I think it's like, how do we get to a place where we've got a budget and say, hey, does the solar punk bit, go into the coffers? So, some of that money go into the coffers, and that idea is like, it's like this affords us a designer for the trading cards next type of thing.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, that's might be some brute force design work. The design work to me feels more fun and interesting than the layout work, and I think the layout work is a lot more straightforward
for this particular thing.
Yeah, for this particular thing. Like I think like if we were to do the first couple, like what I did yesterday, for instance, let's say we were like, oh, that's a really great design. That would be, it's just like, once we have an idea of everything that needs to be created, I think that card set could be done in pretty short order. Because it's very formulaic. It's like, I know what needs to happen. I know how this thing needs to be. I know how the core assets need to be created. So yes, depending on what it is, it could be something that we just do internally, and then just save the layout work for someone like Patrick, or similar to Patrick. Not to say that he's just a layout monkey or anything like that, but
right.
But like somebody who has skill in InDesign. I know some studio people that do freelance work that I could just call up and say, I've got a job for you this weekend, because that's all it is. It's a weekend worth of work for them.
I like it.
Yeah, I think feels like that's the it's a good thing to focus on. Spend more time doing the stuff that we are better at doing in terms of generating the ideas, and offload the more production stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Because I think there's a few things that could come from this. There's I like the trading cards. I like the idea of like, here's a full deck of prompt cards.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be good to come up with the rules. Like, how are these prompt cards used, right? Like, how are if you were to use them in some kind of a way, what would be like a game or a workshop or a thing that one might find more of a practical use for it, but then never actually sell it as a complete set. Only ever sell it as packets where you have to try to like slowly try to accumulate and collect, or break the box. You can buy the box and you're going to have a bunch of duplicates. And maybe the rarest one will be in there.
Yeah, and how do you manage the rarity aspect of it?
Yeah, well, I think those are some of the rules that we'd have to try to figure out. It's like, okay, well, there's the bodega. What's the point of the bodega? Is there a fun little game that one can come up with that? Because part of it is there's the world building aspect of putting design fiction pieces together. It's like you learn a little bit about the world when you look at a design fiction artifact. And then when you get a second design fiction artifact and you're told they belong in the same world, then you learn a little bit more about what that collective world is.
Yeah.
But only when you're told that they belong in the same world. When this design fiction artifact, you're told it's belonging to a different world, then that changes your perspective. So is there a way that we can anchor them in a world? It's like, here's world A versus world B.
Yeah.
These two artifacts don't belong together. So now you have to think differently. You have to imagine harder what that other world might mean.
Yeah.
When I did I did some science fiction character cards a few years ago.
Right.
And the idea was like, it was just a way of trying to, in a workshop, like, you're taking on the personality of the captain, right? You're the captain, and the captain has positive traits and negative traits, and you inherit both positive and negative traits in the workshop or in the thing that you're doing. So you need to be the person who is confident and assertive with their decisions, but on the flip side, you're also kind of blinded by your own biases because you've always ever had it your way, right?
Right.
And those are the two perspectives, the personalities that you need to take to get in there. So the idea is that it started as like it was an addition to the strategic science fiction card set that I had made to just add another layer. But the other thing I thought about these cards was like, oh, well, I could just issue these cards as a way to augment any game, any science fiction game that's out there, right? So any board game, if you go to Board Game Geek, you could basically promote your cards as like, here's an unofficial expansion pack for any science fiction game that's out there. And somebody might use that and open source it in a way that's like, oh, these character cards would be really useful in my game that I'm creating right now. I'm just going to adopt these cards. So you just buy those cards in addition to my game, and the two together create a new dynamic.
Right.
And I think there's some interesting stuff that happens in the game board world. So I'm thinking maybe these cards, these design fiction cards, play a role in a larger universe of workshops and board games.
Yeah.
Again, I'm overthinking stuff right now. I'm kind of big
No,
picture
we're going big. Yeah.
Like, how would you see people using these design fiction cards?
I mean, there are all kinds of possibilities. My initial thinking was just like, it's just a vibe thing. It's like, oh, it's all just, I had, I think when I was a kid, when I collected the Wacky packages, just things to kind of like mull over and wonder, like, why does this thing even fucking exist? Like, this is weird.
Yeah.
And it's, it's the same thing of like my fascination with, Mad Magazine when I was a kid. There's just something about it that I found that just drew me in. It's hard to describe what it was at the time. And so I think, initially it's just that, like when I saw that, like whatever that feeling was I saw when I saw that poster, and the same feeling that, like you seeing you build on that with like, oh, what about this? It's just pure generative, like kind of weird
Yeah.
creative energy field kind of thing.
Energy field. Yeah.
Um, but beyond that, I say, as you've been talking, like sharing like your kind of ideas, because I think you're much more in the world of cards as utility things. I'm into, I like, with the board gaming and all that, and so I start thinking, it's like, oh, is this like a physical version of Loot, but
Yeah.
with weird stuff on the future, and they're represented as cards. So it's like, I've got a bottle of Clorox and a sponge and some bathroom tile grout kind of cleaner. What do you got? What do you
Yeah.
want to trade? And that somehow it becomes, creates a, in the same way that Loot was like very clearly as, playing into the board game slash Ages of Empires slash Dungeons and Dragons slash, pretty soon you're at Burning Man.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
yeah.
so the utility transactional value of the things within a system that is, it became interesting to, in this mode, I'm skipping ahead to like, just start doing it.
Mhm.
Like, forget about like the rules of the game, but these are just things, and see what kind of vibes kind of
Yeah.
like make people figure out what it is. In the same way, Loot was a little bit clearer to me. I mean, I had to have JMO explain to me why he was excited about it,
Yeah.
because I'm not of that, world, frankly. Like, it's not the first thing that clicked. Like, oh, armor, a broadsword, and some healing herbs, as part of the
Mhm.
Loot thing. Is there a corresponding thing to do here ahead of anything really kind of specified or worked through in detail?
It'd be really,
Does that make sense?
yeah, no, totally makes sense. I love the idea of, so I like the Loot analogy, because I was thinking of something along those lines as well when I was considering the NFT thing, and whether the QR code for the NFT is like under the sticker or just literally on the back of the card. I like the
I like the
idea.
end of the sticker thing, because I
Yeah.
already imagine people trying to
Not peel the sticker.
MRI,
Yeah.
an MRI scan it or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Doctor, I need an X-ray. All right, hop in
Yeah.
the MRI. No, I mean, here's my card. I like the idea of, if we just said, hey, listen, we're just going to mint, everything's minted to the blockchain. Like there's a Javex bottle and there's a roll of toilet paper. Like all of this stuff just exists on the blockchain. Every time you mint it, everyone is a unique mintable asset. Down the line, because I think this is it. There's a design fiction metaverse in, somewhere in the future. And in this design fiction metaverse, if you own matches and a bottle of vodka and a paper towel, they make a Molotov cocktail, right? You can, the combination of things create new interesting ideas, and that becomes the new NFTs that you unlock. So people are going to want to try to collect different things, or maybe they're useful. Maybe we find a way to make it interoperable in 20 years from
Yeah.
now. But for now, the idea of like future proofing it by just putting on the blockchain means that, when you own the card, you can, when you peel that sticker off, you're effectively destroying the card. You're burning the card in order to mint the NFT, which is kind of an interesting opposite version of burning the NFT to own the physical object, like Unisocks or something like that.
Yeah.
So, in the future, maybe there's people who have, sealed hologram packets of bodega cards.
Yeah.
And then bodega cards is like the first one, and there's going to be like junkyard cards later, and there'll be something else. Pick the area of focus, and then explore the archetypes within that area. And
consumer goods. Just like weird shit. So that reminds me. Sorry, go on.
Oh no, I was going to say the other different types of consumer goods or whatnot, or things, fictional things that we just invent at one point when we run out of consumer goods to make fun of. But pack of cards, a sample pack of cards would be a great thing that to include. And let's say if there was a Design Fiction Quarterly that came with like some things. So what's in the box is a pack of cards, and that's how you get people hooked.
Yeah. Last night, a good friend of mine, we used to work together, Nokia, he's like head of design for some huge company that just makes stuff. And he was like, hey, Julian, have you ever heard of Jungle Scout? Never heard of it. What is that?
Yeah, I know Jungle
software. Is it do you know? So he was
it's a
talking
Chrome
about
extension for Amazon.
Yeah, so he's like, this is what we use. This is how we figure out what products to make.
Oh fuck. Okay, interesting. Yeah.
And it was insane. It's like essentially this you know, it's to me it's like that's like the logical extreme of like hypercapitalism. Essentially,
Yeah.
you can just figure out ideally, and so I was like, pretty soon it's just going to be Jungle Scout plugged into CAD AI software.
Yeah.
That figures out how to make a humidifier that's 10 cents cheaper than the other guys.
Yeah.
So it can go on Amazon and
interesting. I used Jungle Scout to design a coloring book because I was exploring KDP, the Kindle Direct Publishing.
Mm-hmm.
And adult coloring books are trending, especially if you like tag them as like anxiety, like for anxiety and relaxation.
Yeah.
And so I came up with that idea called and niching down, like picking a very specific thing. So I came up with I used Midjourney to render a bunch of skulls, like you know those Dios de Muerto type of skulls.
Yeah.
All the details. So something like that.
Yeah.
I just rendered a whole bunch of skulls. So I call it a sculling book. And so yeah, I got a PDF that I was going to upload to Amazon and make like a sculling book, but that was informed by this Jungle Scout plugin that I did a free trial on.
I didn't know it was a plugin. Sorry, it's okay? Is it right? Okay.
Was Chewy getting in trouble?
Yeah, Chewy found a friend.
Nice.
So they're just playing around. Yeah. It
Jungles?
was the couple in the other suite that yesterday when we were leaving for dinner, they were sitting there trying to detect the accent. It might be Eastern European, but they were just sitting at their nice little table outside with Mary was like, wait, is that Kentucky Fried Chicken? And they just had like a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken. I just imagine it's like, man, it's probably just like, oh man, I can't wait to go back to America and get some Kentucky Fried Chicken. It was so good last time.
Yeah.
You know, like a special treat, like
that's awesome.
like is it like in friends like you gotta have Burger King there. I know it sounds terrible, but you gotta go to Burger King. It's so good.
Yeah.
And or like Dunkin' Donuts in Tokyo was like, it's like white glove service. It's like they bring a tray to you with like, you know, beautiful like kind of branded wax paper on the tray. The person's literally got white gloves and they bring it over to you, and there's your donut, you know, and a fork and knife. It's like
yeah, it's funny. I like the idea that you know, what are the delicacies? What are things that are taken for granted in other countries that become delicacies?
Right
here, right? You know, it's like people like, oh, escargot. It's like, no, that's how French dealt with invasive species. Like, that's not a delicacy over there. That's just
yeah. It's so funny. So there's like bucket of Kentucky Fried and a big 2-liter thing of Canada Dry Ginger Ale.
Amazing. Yeah, KFC. I call that stuff yucky tucky. Yucky tucky. Brandel, what is going on, man?
Just hanging out, enjoying the atmosphere. I dropped in late, but I was really excited by the momentum on the project. I think I'll try to watch if you put this up, Julian, I'll watch the video of this office hours. Because I think
we went deep on a new project.
On a new project that like
a new project
that just spun up yesterday. Yeah. You know what, Brandel, you'd be you'd be the guy on a project like this. Like, we're thinking about doing these like design fiction trading cards, but like in a foil wrap. So there's only maybe 5, 10, maybe 15 in a package. So there might be a larger set of 100, but the idea is every card is like a trading card, kind of like a wacky packages type of thing. But right now we're calling it like bodega. We're like the theme is like a bodega, things you might find in a bodega of the future, more specifically things you may have picked out of the bodega's dumpster bin in a hurry while you were on a design fiction time travel trip grabbing things from the future. But they're all like individual items that we were thinking of, like, oh, that'd be good to mint them all to the blockchain or make them mintable. So by owning the card, you could scan the QR code that comes on the card, mint it to the blockchain, and what would you get from that? And then with you and your 3D skills, that'd be really interesting to create like 3D versions of these things that live on chain. Have you ever done any stuff with Tezos?
I haven't done anything on Tezos, but I have sort of helped some folks try to get something onto art blocks. I made some generative neon for them. But a number of the sort of other creative coders in sort of web 3D graphics have done a lot on Tezos.
Yeah.
In Hiccup when that was what it was, and others.
Yeah, Julian, that could be interesting. Like each one of these design fiction artifacts has a 3D counterpart.
Yeah.
And that's what you get when you mint it. My first thought was,
I like that it also has the the utility within the space of whatever kinds of if there is a game mechanic to it. I don't know if that's, I feel like that could something come out of doing it as opposed to trying to figure out like any kind of game mechanic ahead of time.
Yeah,
I think
make it open enough that someone can interpret it and turn it into something.
Yeah.
With our blessing to like, just use it however you want to use it. But yeah, I think the 3D asset could be really interesting. And my initial thought was like, how could you use it with like, not really like a POAP, but I like how POAPs work. I like this badge. I like this. I taught a course, and every time you would come to, it was a 3-part course. For every part of the course that you came to, you would receive a POAP that was mintable on the day of the course. And all the people like minted it. And now they have these little badges that show that they did module 1, module 2, and module 3 of the course on those specific days. And it's like, yeah, that's, I like that idea. I like the collecting things. And I think collecting bodega design fiction objects on the blockchain somehow would be cool, especially with the Tezos wallet, because I think it actually shows you the NFT in the wallet itself.
Something that I did recently that I really enjoyed was AR Quick Look, the thing that you can do on
AR Quick Look. I'm not familiar with it, but
it's an iPhone sort of Apple ecosystem thing where it's like the see the IKEA furniture in your space or whatever, that kind of stuff.
Got it.
In the web, like I think I probably showed you, like I made like a generative birthday cake generator, so you can write in whatever you want for a birthday cake, set the number of layers and the color of the icing and stuff like that, and build a birthday cake. But they were static; they were just fixed single objects. Something that I did recently was make it so that you can export from a web page an animated AR Quick Look. So one of the things that I did for that was I also made like this airplane game where you sort of fly around as a biplane and things like that. And then you can actually save not just the biplane, but your flight, your actual playing of that game as an AR Quick Look file that then you can like look at in your scene. You can then get on your phone and kind of watch the game that you had. And I really like that as not just being able to make an animated thing, but that the animated thing you see as a specific performance that kind of didn't require any skill to make. It's just somebody playing a game that constructs this animated and unfolding sort of journey and process. So I think that'll be a cool thing to be able to add into the mix if what somebody mints or what somebody sort of creates is equal parts sort of something beautiful, something interesting, but also some intrinsic like interaction with it that they had as the thing itself.
Yeah, I like that. I like the way that like a flight path can be hacked into a way to create art, kind of like how those Nike Plus and Strava runners plan a route to like draw dick doodles on a map. But imagine a 3-dimensional flight path that you're trying to create like a Mobius strip, or you're trying to create a, atomic symbol or something like that. That's cool.
Yeah, actually a former coworker of mine who's back down in LA now, Jean Helfenstein, JanraScript is what he goes by, did sort of an NFT series of, he said that there were arcs and paths through space of somebody skateboarding, and then sort of rendering those motion trails of various limbs and stuff like that as art sort of pieces. So that was a pretty cool sort of recontextualization of those elements. But yeah, is there a like a Miro or any notes around it? I can read through it.
Yeah, we haven't done anything public yet. We just had literally 2 or 3 volleys last night. But yeah, I think we'll probably we'll spin up a new channel and throw some stuff in there.
Where did we volley those? That was just in DM, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was just in DM. You sent me a DM of a thing, and then I on Instagram, and then
that's right.
I was like, oh shit, that made me think of this, and then I spent an hour making a thing.
Yeah, should I just start a channel?
Yeah, let's start a channel, and then I've got the image that you sent me. I actually downloaded that to my computer.
Okay,
so
cool.
I can.
What should I? What do we call this?
It could be the trading cards, design fiction trading cards, maybe. If you want to be, or we could call it the bodega dumpster.
Should we be like to start? Just be very specific.
Yeah.
Let's call it design fiction trading cards. People will be like, oh, okay, because we're not sure exactly what it is. We have a better idea, but
yeah, we've got the beginnings of yeah, and then we can just paste in the stuff that's been done. I'll put a disclaimer that this is just me having fun in Photoshop.
Yeah.
After
and you've got
and I've got the original image that you sent.
Yeah, and then I can when I get back to the studio, I can flip through those wacky packages things just for like inspiration.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Just stuff.
And what is the content, like thematically? Is there anything that defines the content of the cards? Like what sort of theme or subject matter is they relate to?
I think so Julian sent you know what, I'm gonna paste, if you look at Design Fiction Trading Cards channel, I'm gonna paste something in a couple of seconds. And this is just a random image that Julian sent over. Oh, hang on a second, I'm waiting for.
Such a peculiar image. I think I remember where the book.
Oh,
I
you
think
know
it's
what?
the one
Okay.
up.
The image that do you have that photo on your phone or on your something? Could you paste it? Because it turns out that I have to go to another computer to do it. I think if you kick it off with that, I'll
Yeah,
put
let me pull it out.
the other images. But yeah, Julian sent over a picture yesterday of like this bodega that was called like Super Mario Instant Food or something like that. It's just and it had these, like, you know, a bottle of Javex, that thick white outline, like it looks like a sticker, but it wasn't a sticker. It's just but it was like a Javex and a ham and a pair of shoelaces and a pack of cigarettes and a bottle of Coca-Cola and just all the things that this bodega had. And it looked like a sticker page. And yeah, Julian said something about stickers, and I thought that's a really cool looking graphic. And then I just spun out and thought, oh, what if they were trading cards like Garbage Pail Kids? I don't know if you remember those cards from back in the day. So there was the ones that there was a sticker, you could peel the sticker off of the card. So the idea was like, oh, well, what if we made Design Fiction that was like Garbage Pail Kids? And each one is kind of not making fun, but commenting on an artifact or an archetype. And what if you peeled the sticker and behind the sticker was a QR code that you could scan and it would mint it? So you'd destroy the sticker by peeling it but gaining access to an NFT in the process. And yeah, I just thought, oh, it'd be cool if it was the same way that the Design Fiction work kit has you know, X number 50, 60, 70, 100 cards in it. However many cards there is, we could do something like that, create a 100 card pack, but we only deliver them in 10 or 15 packs that are foil wrapped, kind of like trading cards, make them collectible. If you want to get the full 100, you have to just keep buying these foil wrapped sets until you find the entire thing. But some cards are more rare than others. There you go. So that was the mini Mario Market. When you sent this, Julian, I thought this was an actual game. I was like, I went on like the Nintendo Switch store and I was looking like, oh, that looks like fun. Like what, like, how does this game work? I want to play this game. I started looking for it and I couldn't find it. And then I realized like, oh, this is a whole genre of Super Mario pretending stores, which is great. Okay, let me find.
That's funny.
Folder. Design Fiction Trading Cards. Where we go. All right. And this is what I ended up designing yesterday.
Oh, right. So bodega dumpster is a specific.
And that's the theme. Yeah. So like this series would be the bodega dumpster. Ignore the design. I'm going to put a disclaimer that this is just an early prototype. But yeah, the theme could be a bodega dumpster. Because we've talked about, especially in the chore coat meetings, this idea that, you know, you're taking a quick trip to the future, you're kind of doing a future dumpster diving. So I took inspiration from that and I thought, yeah, imagine you went to the future and you had just 3 minutes to jump in the dumpster, grab whatever you could and leave. And this is what you're taking back with you. And that's what this deck of cards, this set of cards represents. And then this opens the door down the line so we can create the near future scrapyard pack of cards. We could find other consumer goods and beyond. Yeah, who knows where it goes, but for now it's like just a fun little collectible thing.
Yeah, I like it.
That's cool.
I think we can do this.
Yeah, I like this is the wacky packages, right?
That's yeah, one thing for the wacky packages. I mean, it's a particular idiom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like fucking with brands and a.
Well, that's what it's funny. That's what
satire.
Well, it's funny. That's what I did in the mock-up that I have up there. I don't know if you zoom in on that. It's Hagen Blas.
Yeah, totally.
It was Hagen Blas
totally.
antidepressant ice cream. And it's called Treat Yourself.
Yeah,
literally.
Well, it was like in the when we did Corner Convenience, we sort of operated in that mode. Like there was Jack Daniels that was caffeine infused Jack Daniels. There was like I forget the brand. It was like Menon underarm stick that was that had instead of antiperspirant, it was like anti-hangover.
Oh, that's
kind
good.
of
I like that
stuff in it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. I think it's a fun thing. On the foil wrap, what you can't read is it's design fiction surprises. That's what it says there on the bottom. Near future bodega dumpster, design fiction surprises, and then 10 collectible NFT trading card stickers. Trying to find a good kind of bodega background shot was surprisingly hard. I could find like a nice grocery store, but that's about it. Yeah, I think that if they're individual products like this, like, you know, Jack Daniels with caffeine or antidepressant ice cream or whatnot, like these are just, they can be simple 3D objects that could live on a blockchain when they get minted. Oh, I got a 404 on that link you just sent to the.
Yeah, I don't know. This drives me nuts. At some point, I'm just gonna have to. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know why the projects got pulled out that way.
You're gonna have to give your webmaster shit.
Yeah.
Who's your webmaster?
No one.
Yeah, I like this maximum 3 candy bars right off the top. That's funny. Replicate while you wait. This is good. I've never seen this video before. This is awesome.
Good one.
So when you did this, obviously you had to, you know, get the local bodega to agree for you guys to come in and load up their store.
Yeah, so it was the Arizona State University Center for Science and the Imagination asked us to, commissioned essentially, hey, do you want to do a project? And so this was this is what we came up with to do this corner convenience film, a workshop followed by a film. And the workshop was let's let's do a kind of futuring workshop to think about the kinds of things that might be in the corner convenience store. And so we spent like a couple few hours doing that in kind of conversation, and then we went into production mode where we actually started making some of the props. And the ASU found like it was a convenience, it was like this kind of huge convenience store that agreed to be like, yeah, we'll let you use. It was like off campus, so they probably have like a good relationship with them anyway. And so, whatever, students go there to get their 12 packs of beer or whatever. And so they essentially allowed us to film there. We spent a few hours just doing guerrilla style, and it was great because like right next door, connected was it was like a restaurant that was closed. I maybe just it was like an evening place, so we could use that as our kind of production offices, where people were hanging out waiting for their walk on part, and then there were just like these vignettes without dialogue really. And then afterwards, Nick and I just spent that night essentially doing the editing to just put together the film. So the idea was like to do it all as quickly as possible, basically within 24, 36 hours.
That's cool.
Have everything all done. Yeah, it worked out.
I like that one of the characters is named Panda Jerky Porno Trucker Guy.
Yeah.
Just waiting for him to show up.
Yeah, that was a good one. Our augmented reality.
I like the implication of the disposability of all of the artifacts. Is it so like the disposable, like the future is very likely to be just as unfortunately disposable as the present.
Yeah.
Most people sort of have these grand visions for how reusable stuff is, but they just say like these VR glasses are good for one thing and one thing only, and we've intentionally nerfed them for any further utility as a really generative space, especially for dumpster diving and things that have passed through that utility. So that's fun to play with.
I like the Twitter scratch and win 1 million followers.
Yeah. You got this. Yeah, it's all this stuff. The TikTok with pheromones. It was fun to make the props, just doing it super simply.
Yeah, there's some really, really fun stuff in there. Like I like there's a one scene where the guy walks out and you can see on the cash register that he checks out, but he also checks into Foursquare at the same time. It's like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Sorry, just Chewy's wandering off again. Come here, dog.
Oh, it's all good.
Come here.
Chewy's in a new environment. He's
got to sniff around.
Yeah, he's got to find all the smells. Yeah, it looks like Isabella's into this idea.
Oh, did she post something?
Yeah.
Cool.
Do you know if the Pinathon was recorded at all? that she hosted last week?
That's a good question.
Because that's something I was really curious to experience that. Unfortunately, I had to do some driving, but she suggests that we could do a pinathon, maybe around something like this. I think that'd be a good way to do a writer's room as well. Maybe we ask people to do a bit of homework and then show up and we do some kind of a pinathon to help generate some early stage ideas to help guide the direction.
Yeah. What is it in your mind? What does that look like? Like if at the out, when the pinathon is done, what do we have?
Well, so I haven't experienced the pinathon, but so I don't know the process of doing that. But after looking at the board of pins, I think the idea that there are, archetypes, or in this case, we would have like example artifacts that we could. It's almost like to me, the pinathon, the board would be the different aisles that you might find in a bodega. And the goal is to fill up the aisles with the things that are pertinent, right? And those aisles could be very broadly defined as home, maintenance, food, kitchenware, daily thing, whatever, however a bodega is kind of done like that. You do the high level thing, you pin it, you basically try to fill up the aisles with ideas. And the end result would be something that you and I, or whoever the showrunners and leaders on the project are, triage and turn it into like, okay, we decide like, yeah, this is what we're going to focus in on. And then we develop the brief for whomever to elaborate on those specific things. That might be a way of doing it, but Pinathon sounds kind of fun because it feels participatory. Did you participated in it, right?
Yeah, it was good. I'm just trying to remember. I remember feeling like a little bit, and this isn't like a judgment so much as just like like a reflection that it felt maybe like I don't know. I remember feeling like that I wanted like maybe a little bit more action. I feel like. I mean, Isabella did like an amazing. I was super impressed. I was kind of like, all right, this is clearly your thing. Like, how to do this in terms of, being the person at the front of the room, whatever. If it were actually a physical thing, like totally, that's her thing. She's able to corral and shepherd people in a way that I find I'm just like enviable. Maybe I sort of imagined what I'm imagining. I'm so not reflecting so much on that as to what Pinathon might be in the mode of the design fiction playing card thing. It's almost like, okay, so maybe we do a little bit of like the kind of general seminar thing, like, okay, we're getting in the shitty time machine, blah 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 blah. We're going to, and here's where we ended up. Let's say we are doing the bodega thing. It's like we wound up in a bodega. And some of you, I don't know, some of you might kind of ended up in the back alley by the dumpster. Some of you are just kind of perusing the aisles. Some of you are behind the register. Some of you are actually, rolling up in the delivery truck of new stock of something. What is around you? What do you see? What are you picking up in this world? And I don't know if it needs a little bit more to kind of make it into the future. Like if there needs to be something, because otherwise people are going to end up, I got a roll of Charmin toilet paper and a 2-liter thing of Coke. What? I don't get it. What's going on here? Mm-hmm. Is there a tweak? Is it like what is the way to kind of nudge it into an adjacent present or the future without it going too far? Like the image that just popped in my head was like Bruce Willis in that one. What was that one?
Like
what was that one weird Fifth Element, where he goes to his cigarettes and the cigarette is like 2/3 filter. Do you remember this scene? It's a beautiful scene where he kind of goes to get a cigarette from a machine. And it's all got that kind of brownish filter part, and then there's
Yeah,
just like a little bit of tobacco. You're kind of like, wait, what happened in the world? Like, what is going on there? So how do you get to that? So it is the thing that is. What is the thing that we're extending into? I guess that's a question, to figure
yeah,
out where do we want where for the first drop of 10 cards, what bodega have they come from? So it's not just today's brands tweaked like wacky packages. It's more like today's brand, or the thing in the future. What are people going to eat in the? Is it the Solar Punk bodega? Is it the? Yeah, I don't know. But you get what I'm saying. Like, what's
yeah.
the undergirding thing? Is it from speaking to the emotional thing? Is the undergirding thing the? Hold on a second. Sorry, it's okay. It's fine. I just didn't want him to go crazy. All right. Yeah. Is it so? The future we're going to is this the design fiction trading cards, um, fully autonomous future edition? And so it's stuff from the bodega from the fully autonomous future.
Hmm. So yeah,
So I don't know. Could somehow could Kingsford hydrogen briquettes be in that world?
yeah. Well, yeah, I like this idea of what's the prompt to make you think about how is this design fiction unique or specific to the world, and just I like playing the compartmentalization game, but I was just imagining you could say like design fiction can play in the world of opposites, right?
Hmm.
The idea that like cigarettes are healthy. These
Yeah.
cigarettes clean your lungs, right? Or whereas you could also say that this design fiction can be hyperbolized, right?
Right.
The filter on the cigarette is 2/3 the length of the cigarette.
Yeah.
Then there's also like you could do like odd couples. The idea like there are things that go well together, similar to the Jack Daniels with caffeine. Of course, Jack Daniels, you drink it with Coke. Well, get the Coke out, keep the caffeine. You could do that with cigarettes. You could say like cigarettes taste like Jack Daniels. They taste like whiskey. So there's ways of kind of compartmentalizing how to think of design fiction to just help people push them forward.
Yeah. Totally.
I can hear them swooning over
Yeah.
your dog.
They're totally swooning over Chewy. They have
Chewy.
a little dog too, so he's having fun.
Have you ever seen the Halloween costume where they put a spider costume on a little dog?
No.
So somebody created a costume and it's basically like it's just a little dog like Chewy, but it's got these
Yeah.
long legs and it runs around and it looks like a giant spider. It's actually frightening.
Okay, that sounds creepy.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find a video, but it's pretty hilarious. Camille, how you doing? How's school treating you?
I'm actually visiting some friends at a hacker house in Tbilisi, Georgia this week.
Nice.
So I just got back from a DIY show, like face tracking into Unreal Engine, projected via different video. So pretty
That's
dope,
cool.
pretty fun stuff.
That's awesome. Were you doing face tracking with an iPhone?
Yeah, face tracking with iPhone.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So yeah, I was curious. Yeah, I'm gonna dig in the pipeline and ask the creators sort of more questions about how it's done. But yeah, it's my first time here, and it's interesting. Hey, Brandel.
That sounds really cool.
I feel like everyone probably gave updates.
Yeah, seems like it's like a lazy Thanksgiving weekend. Everyone's got the weekend off, taking it chill. Yeah, Julie and I just basically were spinning out on a new idea that happened yesterday. We
Tell me
created
more. I may have to turn off my video because the Wi-Fi is not consistent here, FYI.
all good. We made a new channel called Design Fiction Trading Cards. And we tried we basically just put what happened. Julian sent an image yesterday of something that looked like a bunch of stickers. And then I just made a mock-up of what I imagined foil wrapped trading cards might look like in the world of design fiction, and made like an NFT idea around it. And I was like, oh yeah, that's some fun thinking. Let's blow this up now.
So is this related to any of the journey narrative work in kind of the everyday archetypes channel, or no? Because I remember we were trying to do the ratios on that, so it could be like a trade.
Burp. We just lost her.
Yeah. It's like Ice Station Zebra, Ice Station Zebra. Wing Commander Camille, come in.
Hi, sorry, I'm here. Like I said, internet's a little bit spotty. As my buddy said, this is not a third world, it's like a 2.5 world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is separate from the archetype.
This is separate from the archetype. Yeah, the idea that we're just kind of playing around with, and everything's still open for discussion and development, is I ended up making these cards that were like, okay, imagine they were like near future bodega dumpster cards. They come in a pack of 10 or 15. Maybe there's 100 in total, who knows? But that's how you collect them. You just collect them like wacky packages or like garbage pail kids. And
nice.
You get unique products. In this case, it was focusing on like what might you find if you were dumpster diving in a bodega bin out back. You had 3 minutes to grab whatever you could. Like that would be what you would be in this pack of cards. And yeah, what can we do that's just kind of fun and quirky and tradable? And if we made them stickers, then you can put them on your guitar case. And if you peel the sticker,
trash.
Yeah, if you put it on the trash. If you peel off the sticker, then it reveals a QR code, and you can mint that design fiction artifact.
Or what about if it was one of those like instead of a sticker? What if it was like a spray off, you know, there's more like things.
You just broke up. You sounded like a robot when you said that.
Hello, welcome in.
You were like 2.25 world.
Yeah. Like lotto tickets, maybe.
Yeah, kind of like lotto tickets.
Like with the scrape off, you know, versus like the sticker peel.
Oh,
like what about if it's like more of a scrape off? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that could also work too. I do like the sticker though. I like the idea because what I like about, and I think the lotto ticket thing also does the same thing where you're destroying the card. Like the idea is like you're effectively destroying the pristine nature of the card in order to access the mintable NFT.
The value.
Yeah, the value.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the catch-22 of like, you know, any collectible, right? Do I open the box or do I leave it shut?
Yeah. Exactly. Or do I have to buy 2 of everything now and always keep the second one in the box? Yeah, I think scratch off is an option. I think sticker is an option. It doesn't even have to be scratch off or sticker. It could just be QR code printed on the back of the card would also suffice. I think that just becomes a production consideration. Like how much does it cost to do that? Making packets of cards in foil wrap is doable. I found some services that do that, but whether they can print a sticker like Garbage Pail Kids, that I don't know. I haven't found anything on that yet.
to Julian's point of sort of the collecting, sort of coordinating theme, I think consumable and destroyable, like something that is destroyed that you're sort of talking about, Dre, is a good focal point, something that you use up.
Mm-hmm. And some cards are more rare than others. And then you can facilitate trading. You could see a bunch of people in the near future lab Discord. You know, I got a roll of toilet paper. I'm going to trade for, you know, the Javex bottle that I've been searching so hard to complete my set with.
What does this project look like extended outside the server? Like, would we like plant this in game shops? How do we kind of distribute potentially?
Yeah, that's good. I hadn't thought too much about it, but I had a couple of early thoughts. Like, you know, Julian and I were talking about like Design Fiction Quarterly, like a McSweeney's type of thing. Imagine that. This is a few months back, but imagine a Design Fiction Quarterly where you could subscribe to like a box of design fiction that would just show up with stuff in it. So one way to distribute it would be to drop it in the box. So this would be maybe not people who are necessarily part of the Discord, but might subscribe to like a Design Fiction Quarterly if that was a thing.
Yeah.
But to your point,
Well,
to
or
put it in more accessible places, drop it in game stores, post it on boardgamegeek.com, because this
or what about like
oh, go ahead.
like seeding it at events, right? Because
Yeah.
there are so many kind of like future and futurism events, even if they're not like directly related to what we do. This could be like a way to connect with those communities, assuming we want to, just in terms of like, you know, think about primers, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you could do a primer conference, and you know how every conference
like primer,
has a swag bag, right?
Futurathon. Yeah, exactly. So that's like a way that we could distribute within sort of community, but in a way where we're maybe attracting more community.
Yep. You know, it'd be really awesome is if we invented a new flavor of gum and we had a stick of gum in the pack as well with our new flavor from the future.
What does the future taste like? Ozone? Because that's kind of what I imagine.
What does ozone taste like?
You know, you smell ozone.
You smell ozone?
Yeah, like you never like smelt ozone.
Is that different? That's different from petrichor, is it?
I think
Yeah, it's different from petrichor. Petrichor
Okay.
is like
Electricity,
after
right?
rain. Yeah, yeah. It smells like
Smell?
electricity. Could we put that into a gum flavor?
Hells yeah. Let's find that out. Let me. Okay, smells like ozone. I need to. Because if I'm correct, that plasma globe right behind me emits ozone when I touch it. So I bet you if I touch it and give my fingers a smell, I will just rub it into a piece of gum and send it to your way.
Oh, thanks for thinking of me, Dre.
Hey, you're welcome.
Because it's pretty challenging to collect smells. So I don't know how we put it in a flavor.
Organoleptics, right? Is that the term for people who study smells? Or not, or the science of smelling?
There is an odor descriptor listing for ozone, which I feel like could translate into flavor.
Yeah.
Aroma and flavor compounds removal.
So I imagine ozone is heavy. So you could probably actually use that plasma ball, Dre, to collect and condense ozone, and then you could use that as the gas inside a foil wrap, possibly.
That's
I don't know
hilarious.
what kind of reactivity it would have, or what the ways in which it would deteriorate it. But that could be a pretty funny thing to do. I've never looked into buying ozone either. It might be cheap enough that people you can buy it by the bottle or something. But yeah, it's pretty interesting to think that, yeah, you might be able to kind of decant it off of your plasma ball.
Great. Love this.
What?
Is ozone the smell of the future?
People make ozone generators for some form of alternative therapy. So that's cool, I guess.
It reminds me of those people who like live in the desert in Arizona, I think, who like don't have any plastics in their life because they're allergic to everything, or so they believe.
Oh, I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, there's like this community of people that like live, you know, like basically like plastic and technology free, but like they have allergic reactions. You know, I don't know how they're actually attributing it. I don't know if they can actually test for this. Is this a psychological effect?
Metallic, chlorine, sweet, and pungent. Those are the descriptors I'm finding.
That sounds very futuristic.
Mm-hmm. How a swimming pool might smell like. All right, ozone flavored gum it is.
I wonder how we would make it.
Well,
how do we make it?
Apparently the troposphere is comprised of ozone, which is like 6 to a dozen or so miles up in the air, 6 to 30 miles from our planet. So I think we could just like, I don't know, rocket something up to the stratosphere and then bottle it there, manufacture it up there so that it imbues all the ozone, seal it, drop it back to Earth.
I went to an interesting talk recently about like a passive spectrometer in terms of figuring out the chemical compositions of things, but trying to do it in an affordable way.
I saw a talk like that at the Open Hardware Summit in like 2000.
Oh yeah, no, that's okay.
Yeah, I went to Open Hardware Summit in Boston in, I don't know, 2011 maybe, and I remember they were showing a portable, like homemade spectrometer, and the guy was selling it right at the hardware summit, and I think there was even like a Kickstarter or a Tindy or something like that, but it was like a legit spectrometer.
Okay, I don't know that this was legit, but this was more like DIY, build it yourself. But this was also at like a hardware conference, so this makes sense. So for subjects on the cards, we're thinking archetypal objects.
We hadn't gotten too deep into that. We were thinking of just like, you know,
we don't have to also. I know my temptation is always to like drive.
No, that's totally good, because I think it's making us think about stuff. What we were just toying around with was just like, you know, imagine you were in a bodega, kind of like that reference that Julian posted in the thing. You're in a bodega, what would you find? And then we talked about, well, how might we generate ideas around that? And we talked about how great Kemp's Chorecoat Miro board process was. So, you know, what if we did something like that and we created some guardrails, like, you know, imagine you're going to the bodega and you're really, really hungry. You know, what might you find? Or imagine you go to a bodega and there's something broken in your house. You needed to do some house maintenance. What might you find? And, you know, how could we get people to think in certain areas to generate a bunch of stuff? But yeah, that's kind of where we got to.
I mean, that's a great starting point, you know. I think all of those are great. Like now it just seems like we sit down and list.
There's something fun about the individual artifact, like the in the tub of ice cream or the roll of toilet paper or the bottle of chlorine. You know, what is it? What weird description does it have that that places it in the future somewhere?
Yeah, and it's nice because then we don't have to have kind of cohesion in terms of visual style of each object, you know, just in the way it's kind of documented on the card.
Yeah, it could be. There's a few like no, go ahead.
No, I just think that's like kind of opportunity to be, you know, like, I don't want to say more inclusive, but, you know, everyone can contribute and there's not like a pressure to necessarily like conform as long as it speaks to the language of the object.
Mm-hmm. For this project, we're thinking we would offload the design work. So it would be inclusive in that everyone can contribute. Everyone can contribute in the ideas, in the putting it together, but just based on, you know, project that we're working on, that Julian and I are working on right now, and the design effort required and the layout effort required, the studio stuff, it might actually make sense to spend our time thinking of the ideas and outsource the physical making of the designs, and then that way we can focus on what we do best and just creative direct a designer instead of designing every single thing.
Totally. Yeah, that's a good strategy. And so this is self-funded?
Maybe we'll see if this is right now it's self-funded, but we'll see if maybe the Solar Punk book, when we get that done, could generate $1 or $2 to pay for a designer.
Okay.
Otherwise we'll whip up some kind of a DAO. You can buy some tokens. Excellent. Some design fiction tokens.
Yeah. My buddy told me he found like a great search engine that reverse engineers an image to like its prompts.
Yeah, Stable Diffusion does that. If you have it installed.
Stable Diffusion does it?
Yeah, if you
have it installed.
Yeah, if you have it installed, it's called interrogating. You can interrogate an image, and you upload an image, you hit the go button, and it'll just generate a prompt based on what you think. Okay, so have you tried? This is a blast. Have you tried Arturia? I think it's called. What's it called?
I haven't. Arturia. Tomorrow on our docket, Astria. Since I'm with Shiv.
It's called Astria. Astria, you pay like $5 and you upload 20 photos of yourself, and then you hit a go button and you give it about 90 minutes to train, and it basically trains on your face, and then you basically write prompts with your like. So now I have like Dre LeBray as a young king.
As a young doctor.
Long white hair, beautiful face, highly detailed face, portrait made by Stanley, you know, so on. You could just basically write your prompt as you will, and it's you. It's like you are in the algorithm, and it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Dope. It's 95%.
I can't believe it's doing that with only 20 images. That's insane to me.
Yeah, it is. The ones that
when I think of all the images I used to train a style GAN for my cat, and this can do it in 20.
Yeah, it can do it in 20. Yeah, it's kind of
crazy.
Does
it do non-humans at all, or no?
No, I think this is specifically trained on faces, so it needs to have like the typical.
What about a cat face though?
Yeah, I mean, you could throw a cat in and see what happens.
Great.
It's going to cost you $5 though.
Something
I'll
somewhere?
spend $5 to make a style can for my cat.
You know what? It might be possible because visualize your concepts. Wait a minute. You know what? If you read the how-to, because they've got an example here. They're showing a car, they're showing a hat. So I'm not sure if you can train it on something like training on a specific object like a cat or a car. Who knows? Oh, it says upload 10 to 20 pictures of your subject. Yeah, I think you can train it on your cat. I'd like to see what you do with your cat and see if how that compares to what you did on your own.
Well, I was using Runway ML, which is like a decent entry level tool, but like shit is coming out so fast that it's like you can't kind of tie yourself to any platform.
Yeah.
Like it's good in terms of training for like image or object recognition, but like it's generation skills, especially, you know, since I was doing this in like January, or I was doing this in March, you know, now it's generation skills are just so weak, you know, compared to the tools out there. Like this space is moving so fast. It's difficult to know in terms of like directionality and time, etc. Like, yeah.
Well, Stable Diffusion version 2 came out yesterday.
Yeah, I heard there was controversy around it. I heard there's mixed feelings. I don't know how true that is though. So
I don't know what that is.
What kind of feelings would be mixed?
I don't know. Let me ask Raph.
Oh yeah, here we go. Stable Diffusion 2 is here, but not everyone is happy. Let's see what it says.
What does that even mean? It's fucking magic.
Yeah, exactly. What is it? What's that Louis C.K. quote where he's like, people are complaining about not having Wi-Fi in an airplane? You're in a chair in the sky.
Yeah, everything's amazing, but what was it? What's the Brandel?
Everything's amazing and no one's happy, I think is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. We're in a chair flying through the sky.
Okay. So however, the update does have some drawbacks. Users have complained that the new version of Stable Diffusion makes it harder to generate NSFW content, as well as art that imitates actual artists' styles, leading to some claim that the new version has been nerfed. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. People mad.
I'm fine with that. I
think everyone in this room is fine with that. But you know, I don't know how people are using Stable Diffusion at large, right?
Yeah. Actually, I'm not fine with that. I want full NSFW abilities. I want to create a website called OnlyFriends, which is just AI generated naked pictures of all your friends.
That's so uncomfortable, Trey.
I know. That's why I think they're doing this, is because someone's actually thinking about that in a serious way. So I think it's good. I think it's good that they do this. The not imitating actual artist styles is actually a good step to making people not so hostile towards AI art, because it's happening with.
I agree with that.
Yeah, it's happening with GPT-3 right now. There's a whole bunch of people like revolting against GPT-3, like saying that they don't want it to happen, not realizing that it's an inevitability. It's not. There's nothing they can do to stop it.
Well, also, no one talks about like the ghost labor around machine learning in terms of who's tagging the photos with what and how little they get paid.
Mm-hmm. I think I think Google's doing a good job getting us to do those CAPTCHAs all the time.
Oh yeah, I mean they've been doing it forever, but
I
mostly
know.
for like autonomous driving training, right?
Yeah, well, that's why it's. I mean, why are they asking me like which one's a panda? That was the other one the other day. I was like, which ones are pandas? And it was like showing me pandas and raccoons. I was
Yeah,
like,
I've
where
gotten
are your
animal
cars
recognition
driving?
also. I
Where
think
are
that's
your cars
drones. I think
driving?
they're starting to do aerial like drone stuff.
Ah,
They're working out what kind of algorithms they need to be able to airstrike the pandas.
yeah.
Pandas are a threat to us all, Brandel.
I mean, pandas are. That's where panda jerky comes from, right? You're not going to be able to harvest that sweet, sweet panda meat without some sophisticated drones.
Especially because they've gone feral.
Feral panda meat is great. Choked out panda. Have you had choked out panda jerky?
I just, I like a nice roast panda paw in a soup,
Panda
like an
paw.
elevated oxtail.
I bet they would taste pretty good.
Don't
I
you
mean,
think
I think bamboo. I
anything
mean,
that cute has to be delicious?
right? Yeah. No, I think like bamboo, especially fresh bamboo, is actually pretty delicious. So yeah, anything sort of reared on that is got to be sort of stewing in it somewhat. So yeah. Oh, it's interesting the sort of the limitations that people are putting on stable diffusion, partly because of um, just the human bias is like if it's easy to make porn with it, then people will do a lot of porn
Yeah.
with it. And
We
yeah,
can't hurt the porn industry, Brandel.
what? Yeah, I guess yeah. There's porn, and then there's the porn industry, and those are also separate things. But it's also like, yeah, the if you see like I haven't look at it recently, but the top 10, I think it's top 10 or top 25 Wikipedia articles every week. The Wikimedia Media Wiki Foundation sort of does a short sort of paragraph write up of each of them, and they are so they however like high-minded you might think about humanity, and not just in terms of porn, but not like the categories of things that people are looking at on Wikipedia every week will just bring you crashing back down to what it is that people are and what they want to see and want to experience. And yeah, it's just a very humbling experience. Like, oh no, that's right. If we have access to that, that's all we'll do.
People.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I found the top
The
25
diffuse.
report. Actually, that's great. That's such a good.
Yeah.
That's such a good.
Mhm.
A good resource. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah. So FIFA is up there.
Yeah, I find it really interesting as a resource because it reminds me of what we are and what I mean, myself included, obviously. Like I search for some really boring stuff on Wikipedia, but yeah, like just reminds me of what we will do. And so if the intentions of people with stable diffusion is to stimulate something more interesting than that, then they will have to put some guardrails around, and then people will, some of the most brilliant work that people will do is circumventing those guardrails so that they can get to their gross mundane stuff again, and that's a fun dance.
I'm gonna crash out. I'm about 12 hours ahead, but I hope you guys have a fabulous rest of your Thanksgiving weekend. And I will see you in the near future.
All right. Have a good one.
See you, Camille. I'm gonna bounce as well, fellas.
Cool.
Yeah, ditto. It's about lunchtime here. So all right, everyone.
Thanks.
It was super fantastic. Talk to you soon.
Good stuff.
You guys.
You guys.